In the chaos of life, we sometimes hurt the ones we love the most. It's a painful truth, one we rarely want to face, but it's there, hanging in the air like a heavy fog. But here's the real question. Can we ever find a way back? Can we truly forgive ourselves for the things we've done? Or is forgiveness just a myth, a way to make ourselves feel better without really changing? Stay with us as we dive deep into the journey of seeking forgiveness, where every choice could mean salvation or doom. Let's face it, forgiveness isn't easy. It's messy, complicated, and doesn't come with a clear instruction manual. In a world that's often full of pain and betrayal, forgiveness might feel like an impossible dream. But it's not. It's a battle fought deep within, a struggle to overcome the weight of guilt, the wounds left behind by others, and the scars we create in our own hearts. Every decision on this journey can either push us closer to peace or drown us deeper into regret. Imagine this. You've hurt someone you love, maybe not with words, but with actions. You've done something unforgivable, or at least that's what you think. The guilt eats away at you, day after day, and the tension between you and that person becomes unbearable. You want to apologize, but how? Will they even listen? Can they ever forgive you? The fear of rejection is so intense that it almost paralyzes you. Every time you think about reaching out, you hesitate, unsure if it's worth the pain. And then there's the other side of the story, the one where you're the person who's been hurt. You carry around this weight, this wound, that no one else seems to understand. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt you, but it still feels like a betrayal. The trust is gone, and with it, a part of your heart. You're torn. You know forgiveness is the right thing to do, but how can you forgive someone who hasn't even tried to apologize? How can you let go of the anger, the resentment, and the pain when it feels like you're the only one who's suffering? But what happens if we keep holding on to that anger? What if, instead of forgiving, we choose to carry the burden forever? It's tempting, right? Holding on to that grudge can sometimes feel like the only thing we have left. It's a way to protect ourselves, to keep the hurt from being repeated. But in reality, we're only hurting ourselves more. The weight of unforgiveness doesn't just linger, it builds up, consuming us bit by bit. The anger festers, and what once was a small wound becomes an infection that spreads to every part of our lives. Now think about it. What if forgiveness doesn't just mean letting go of the past? What if it's the key to a new future, one where you can rebuild, where you can heal? Maybe forgiveness isn't about telling the other person it's okay. Maybe it's about telling yourself, I'm going to move forward. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of anger, regret, and hurt. And the hardest part? Understanding that forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you. It's a gift you give to yourself. There's a story that many of us can relate to. You're in a relationship, and it's everything you ever wanted. But somewhere along the way, trust is broken. Maybe it's a lie, a betrayal, or a mistake that can't be undone. The fallout is devastating. The silence between you and your partner is deafening. For days, weeks, maybe even months, you replay that moment over and over in your head. And the question lingers, can you forgive them? Can you ever look at them the same way again? The answer isn't easy. Forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and it takes work. It's about slowly peeling back the layers of anger and hurt, one painful step at a time. It's about asking yourself, do I still love them enough to try? And for some, the answer is yes, but for others, it might not be. And that's okay, because sometimes forgiveness doesn't mean staying. Sometimes it means learning to let go. But here's the real kicker. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's not something you can check off your to-do list and move on from. It's an ongoing process, one that you have to choose every day. Even after the apology, even after the conversation, there's still the work of rebuilding trust, of healing wounds, of proving that you're not the person you were before. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, it just changes how we move forward. There's a moment in every story, in every relationship, where we face the crossroads. Do we hold on to the past and let it define us? Or do we choose to move forward and embrace the possibility of healing? That's the beauty and the agony of forgiveness. Every choice we make, whether to forgive or to stay angry, sets the course for what comes next. The decision to forgive can either be the end of something painful or the beginning of something beautiful. Now, let's talk about the moments when the weight of your decisions becomes even more real. Imagine you've taken the step to forgive someone. Maybe they don't even expect it, or they're too proud to admit their own guilt. But you choose to forgive anyway. It's hard, it feels unnatural, and you're still left with the scars. But there's something beautiful in that decision. It's like you're saying, I am bigger than this moment. I am choosing peace over pain, love over anger. Forgiveness isn't a moment of weakness. It's not saying that what happened didn't matter. It's not excusing the hurt. It's saying, I will no longer let this define me. It's a statement of strength, one that takes immense courage. And in that moment, something shifts inside of you. The pain doesn't go away right away, but it becomes more manageable. Slowly, your heart begins to heal, and you find that you can breathe a little easier. But there's a twist. Just because you've forgiven doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. It doesn't mean that the relationship, the trust, or the connection will magically fix itself. In fact, it's possible that it will never be the same again. And that's okay. Sometimes forgiveness means accepting that things are different, that things can never go back to what they were, but that doesn't mean you can't still move forward. Think about someone who's been holding on to their past mistakes for years. They can't seem to move on, can't forgive themselves, and they're drowning in regret. It's like they're constantly reliving their darkest moments, and each time they try to take a step forward, they're pulled back by the weight of their own guilt. Self-forgiveness is just as difficult, if not more so, than forgiving others, but it's necessary if we ever hope to heal, to grow, and to find peace within ourselves. The path to self-forgiveness isn't clear, and it's not linear. Some days you feel like you're doing fine. Other days, the guilt comes rushing back in and you're left wondering if you're worthy of forgiveness at all. But remember this, forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about acknowledging your mistakes and choosing to be better. It's about understanding that you are more than your worst moments. It's about giving yourself the grace to grow. In the quiet moments, when you're alone with your thoughts, that's when the real healing begins. The world doesn't get to see the internal struggle you're fighting. No one knows the late nights when you lie awake, wrestling with your past. But that's when you find the strength to forgive yourself. That's when you realize that forgiveness isn't about erasing what happened. It's about finding a way to live with it, to learn from it, and to grow beyond it. And what about those moments when forgiveness seems impossible? When the wounds are so deep and the betrayal so raw that you can't even fathom the idea of letting go. It's easy to say that we should forgive, but sometimes the pain is just too much. But what happens if we don't? What happens if we hold on to that anger forever? We can become trapped in it, unable to move forward, to find peace, to build something new. There are stories of people who have lived with resentment for years, who allowed anger to shape their lives. It didn't matter how much time had passed. They were still angry, still hurt, and still haunted by the past. And then one day, something changes. Maybe they realize that they've wasted too much time holding on to something that no longer serves them. Maybe they realize that they can't keep carrying the pain. And just like that, forgiveness becomes a choice, not a feeling. It's a decision to move forward, to embrace the possibility of healing. And that's the beauty of forgiveness. It's a choice. It's not about waiting for the other person to change or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making a conscious decision to let go of the past, no matter how hard it may seem. Forgiveness is freedom. Freedom from the past, freedom from the chains that bind us, freedom to build something new. And sometimes that freedom is the only thing that can bring peace to our hearts. So what will you choose? Will you hold on to the past and let it define you? Or will you choose forgiveness for yourself, for others, and for your future? It's never easy, and it's never quick. But in the end, forgiveness is the only thing that can set you free. The path to forgiveness isn't always clear, but the choice to walk it is yours. Take the first step, and you might just find that healing is closer than you think.